been a really long 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I can't believe we found this. Literally everything that we've been planning to do kind of got derailed.
Yeah.
Like,
that's why everyone says when you're a homeowner and you have stuff to do, just count on things being delayed because you can never control what's going to happen. Hey friends, so there's a lot going on. And, we love to share our ups and our downs and, messages of hope and everything, but this is kind of disappointing. A little backstory, my daughter and our baby share a room. And my daughter was super sick around Christmas time, couldn't figure it out. I took her to the doctor. I tested her for everything multiple times. It was like we couldn't figure out what it was. Mystery illness. We still never figured it out, right? So then she ended up getting better, but it took a course of like a month. Then randomly, a couple of weeks ago, the baby got sick with the same thing. I'm talking 104 fever for days. We were like alternating Motrin and Tylenol around the clock. We tested him for everything. We did blood work. It was another unexplained illness.
This is the first time that he's had a fever this long. And we usually give him, ibuprofen, and he's like, okay, his fever comes down, and then maybe after a day or two it stops. But the fever was like a week.
It was, yeah. Wow. So at that point, when I had taken him to the doctor, they did all their tests, and we were actually really hoping something would be positive because then we're like, okay, that's what's going on. We also thought maybe a bladder infection. Everything was not what we thought it would be. So then it was getting to the point where our doctor, by like day 5, they want you to go to the hospital if the fever hasn't broke. And I waited one more day, and on day 6, he started to like show improvements. He started to eat again. Obviously we were really monitoring him. And so that was so strange to me. Almost 2 weeks ago on a Sunday, he was playing basketball, and I was home with the kids, and I was cleaning up, and I went to clean my daughter's room. And I just started to think about how these kids have just had this unexplained illness and how it was only the 2 of them and they share a room. So I'm like, okay, am I crazy or is there mold in this room? So I, out of nowhere, just started thinking, but then, when you just kind of let something go, like, nah, we had an inspection. We've only lived here a few months. Everything's fine. There was no leak, whatever. But then I couldn't let it go. It got to the point where, like, when you have that mama, like, intuition, I was like, something's not right. I'm like, I really do think there's mold. So then I, like, went on my Instagram stories, and I was, like, telling my followers, I'm like, listen, has anyone ever dealt with mold? Because I have a feeling, I have this really strong feeling that my kids have been sick because of mold. Because it didn't happen until we moved in here, and it's only happening to 2 of the kids. So I let it go. People were messaging me saying, different things. Like, you would know if there was mold. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to rip a baseboard out. I'm just going to check it. So I decided to rip the baseboard in the closet. As soon as I ripped that thing out...
Wow. This is so bad. So bad.
Mold. A lot of mold. And I felt so... First of all, I felt like confirmation, like I'm not crazy. And sometimes you get a gut feeling for a reason, especially when it has to do with your kids. And then also, I just felt defeated. I'm like, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know anything about mold. I just know that it's super dangerous. I remember your sister went through mold. She told me the whole story. She was in a rental. They had to put them like in a hotel or something, rip out the floors, knock into the walls, whatever. Worst case scenario is that there's mold everywhere. So that whole situation was very stressful. I text him, even though I know he wasn't going to get it because he was playing basketball. I'm like, you need to come home right away. I just felt like I could not believe that my investigation turned into something. Because you really do hope that you're wrong. But when I was right, I couldn't believe it. Like, if you would have saw my face, probably turned like a ghost.
Yeah.
So I ended up posting, I found mold. I just ripped up a piece of baseboard. And guess what? And I had so many people talk to me about the same thing happening to them and how they had unexplained illness. Some people are like super lethargic that they can't even get out of bed. So I knew it was a huge concern. So of course I started to spiral. For the next couple of hours, I was freaking out. But a friend of mine reached out to me on Instagram and told me that she actually works for a mold remediation company, and she gave me her boss's number. So I immediately called him. He answered like on the first ring. Like, I was not expecting that on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And because
especially Sunday.
Yeah, we've actually had an issue before. I'm not going to share the whole story, but we've actually had an issue before in our house where I didn't even realize. Maybe it's because I'm a stay-at-home mom and my days get mixed up. But I called the person to explain the issue, and it was a Sunday, and they got mad.
It's been a lot for us because this is a beautiful home, but there's a lot of things that you need to upkeep your house.
Yeah,
and there's things that she missed, and so
Yeah.
we've had to call and get professional opinions. And
Yeah.
so we have all these like names and numbers and contractors and professionals, and then anyways you call
so I called this person for a different issue that they came out when we first moved in. I called that person, not even realizing, not even thinking, oh, Sundays they don't work. He really let me know that he was upset because it's a holiday, Sunday, whatever. So then
that was hard for you to get past.
I felt you don't understand how bad I felt. Right? Like, I couldn't let it go.
She kept calling me. I was actually away, and she was like, I feel like going inside. I feel like I'm gonna crumble. Like, I was
so embarrassed. Like, I felt so bad. And then I'm like, we paid these people so much money, and like, he's getting mad that I called him. Whatever. I let it go, but then I started to get angry about it because I'm like, how mean was he? So anyway, I called the mold guy. I panicked, and I felt like it was a serious situation.
Yeah.
I called him. He answered on the first ring, right? Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, okay, that's the first good sign. Also, he let me talk. You know how some people, they just try to rush you off the phone? I told him, I said, listen, this is what happened. My kids have been sick. I just felt like something wasn't right. I had a feeling that there was mold. I've never dealt with mold before anywhere, but I felt like there was mold. I said, I ripped the baseboard. He let me talk. He let me vent. And he, gave me a few pointers. He told me, don't rip anything else up. He's like, you don't want to stir up the mold. The mold spores go in the air. So he gave me some tips and, calmed me down a little bit. And then he said, can you send me some pictures just so I could take a look at it? And we're going to come out first thing tomorrow. So I was like, great. I sent him a picture. He responds immediately. Yeah. And then he comes the next day, first thing in the morning, right on time. And it's things like that, like as a homeowner or something that's very serious to your health, for that level of professionalism, especially when we've dealt with a lot of unprofessional people in the past, that made me feel really taken care of. And I was like, wow, the experience alone, I guess maybe because I worked in customer service.
That's important to Carlene. Like, her love language is being taken care of, basically, if that was a love language.
You mean acts of service? Well,
acts of service, but that's like being taken care of. So I was actually really happy about that because I didn't know what to do. Like, I'm thinking, like, I don't know, do we have to do this ourselves? What do we do right now? The fact that he came first thing in the morning made me a little bit more at ease as the person who really has to kind of oversee all this stuff.
Yeah, he took his time. So they come in, they do like a consult, so he basically checked the humidity levels in all of the rooms. He looked at the mold. He even went around our property outside to see if there was any cracks that could possibly allow mold in. So he went above and beyond. Yeah. And he took our concerns seriously. And it's like, there's sometimes in life where you feel like you have to really advocate for yourself and advocate for health stuff or advocate for your children. And I didn't feel like we had to do that because I felt like he actually listened.
Yeah. Well, he's actually, believe it or not, he was a pediatric nurse.
Okay,
and so
that makes sense. Yeah, you mentioned that.
Even whenever he gave us, one of the things he did is he gave us a really detailed plan of exactly what he was going to do, how it was going to work. And he actually sectioned pieces of the plan off by Mila's bedroom. Did you know that?
I didn't see it. Yeah.
Mila's bedroom. This is what we'll do. He
wrote Mila's name?
Yeah, he paid attention to the names. And I think part of that is why he feels, because he was a nurse, he knows, and he was a firefighter too, he knows how important it is for, your kids' health. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, me too.
And what was great about the detailed plan, guys, honestly, this was overwhelming us this entire week. It was a lot for us to take in. We already told you we're doing all this stuff around the house. The last thing we need is to uncover stuff. And that's just, I guess that's just what happens when you are doing things around your house. But he even mentioned that, the AC vents are if you are you have mold in the air, it's going to keep circulating throughout the rest of the house, and even the vents could have it. And he was able to actually uncover the source of the problem, which is actually under the AC unit where the intake is. And so that's behind Mila's bedroom wall. And we had no idea. I didn't even put that together until he actually showed me. And he's like, yeah.
He found it by himself.
He's using his scanner. He's like, yep, there it is. Like, there. That's probably where the issue lies.
And then he found a whole bunch more mold. So since it started at the AC unit, like behind the AC unit, there's the bulk of the mold. So he located that. So anyway, he was just very thorough. It took his time. And like he did not stop until he figured out where was this coming from, and he identified if it was an active or inactive leak, and just made us feel a lot more at peace.
Yeah.
So
even though it's kind of like a tragedy that we found this, and mold is such a damper, like you have to fix it. It's not something that you can be like, oh, you know, next year I'll fix it. You have to fix it now. You have to
fix it immediately.
And our kids kept getting sick, and Legend is the type of kid who gets high fevers no matter what. So his starting fever point is like 103, and he was going to 104, getting close to 105 this last time. And I'm just like, okay, you know, now that we found it, we have to just fix it.
We have to fix it. But you want to know something that's really, really crazy? It's like that day I found the mold, which was like almost 2 weeks ago. We moved the kids out of that room immediately, of course. And, you know, we put them in another bedroom for the time being. I haven't heard one complaint, one sneeze, like...
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird.
Legend instantly is better. And it all, like...
Oh, no, I've been kind of... I was skeptical. Like, I didn't know if mold was actually, oh, you know, a little bit of mold. Like, how can that actually make you sick? But the fact that they haven't been sick for...
last 2 weeks. Like, his like symptoms and everything just magically disappeared as of that. Like, it's just insane to me. And through sharing our experience, so many people, especially on Instagram, have told us about their mold issues. Some people are like, maybe this is why we're not feeling good. Like, their throats are always hurting and things like that. I've had people say, like, I'm going to check something. Some people, through my stories on Instagram, have discovered mold. People are, like, waiting on our course of action to see what they should do. So we're sharing this, of course, to, like, educate you guys and also let you know, what you should and shouldn't do, and, like, what type of company you want to come out to your house to make it safe for you and your family, because your health is everything.
Yeah. So we're actually going to share their information. Rescue Clean 911 is the company name. And one of the owners, he actually came out. You don't always get that. The owner doesn't always come out to look at the job, but he came out and actually saw the problem. So we're going to share it with you guys. If you are in the area and you are like, hey, I need my house looked at, and they didn't charge us anything to even come and check. So it's probably good to at least get that first free opinion. Because you don't know. Like, I would have never known. We would have never known. Unless you pulled the baseboard. We would have never known unless the kids were sick. And the best thing that they can do is at least come and check the humidity and the wetness of the drywall. Or if you even suspect there's an issue, I would honestly get it. So we're going to share the information. It'll be in the description, as well as we'll share a link so you guys can do it as well.
We are going to be documenting the entire process. This is part of home ownership now. So you guys want to see a home tour, the ups and downs of home ownership, everything that we're going through, we're going to give you that. We're going to show you every detail. And also, it felt like a death sentence when I found it. I felt so scared, and then I started to Google. But we're also going to share with you guys that it is fixable.
Yeah.
And, we're okay, we're alive, we're healthy. And someone shared this with me, and they said, if money can fix it, it's not a problem you should be worrying about. So we're going to hold on tight to that. We're going to show you guys what we do, and stick around.